This story takes us to a quiet Sunday afternoon in Brandon, Florida. It was around 2 p.m. when the peace was shattered. Emergency calls started coming in about a domestic fight. There was a report that a young one was in serious danger. Deputies from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office rushed to the house. They knew that every second mattered in a situation like this. When the officers arrived, they found that 27-year-old Mario Camacho had locked himself in a bedroom. He had his 7-year-old brother in there with him. The officers could hear the young one crying for help behind the door. They tried to talk to Camacho, but he would not say a word. He had a knife and was wearing a motorcycle helmet. He even had on 2 tactical vests with metal plates inside. The tension was at a breaking point. Deputies finally forced their way into the room. In this body camera footage, you can see the chaos. The room was small and the youngster was terrified. Deputy Antonio Gonzalez had to make a choice in a split second to save that young one. He fired his weapon to stop the threat. Camacho was taken to a hospital but did not survive. Luckily, the youngster was rescued without any physical injuries. Investigators later found out that Camacho struggled with mental illness. I cannot imagine what that poor youngster went through in that room. It is a tragic example of how fast a family situation can turn deadly. It was a normal afternoon for 17-year-old Daniel Shai. He was doing some yard work for a neighbor, completely unaware that he was standing in the crosshairs of nature. In a split second, a bolt of lightning ripped through the sky. The strike was so powerful it knocked out the nearby ring camera, leaving the screen black. When the neighbors rushed outside, they found Daniel sprawled on the ground, writhing in pain. The bolt hit him with such force it burned a hole straight through his shirt. Daniel spent 3 days in the hospital. He survived, but he was left with moderate burns and a chest that felt like it had been crushed.
The shirt that I was wearing, you can see that it burned a hole straight through it. I'm just very sore, my chest hurts, I have some moderate burns, but I'm just thankful to still be alive.
Experts say Daniel was in a double death trap. He was standing near trees and he was holding a 4-foot-long metal weed whacker. Both act as perfect lightning rods. Each year, 40 million lightning strikes hit the United States. So far this year, 6 people haven't been as lucky as Daniel. Just weeks prior to that, another teen in Utah was left unconscious in the mud after a strike during a hike. If you find yourself outside during a storm, remember the 30-30 rule. If you see a flash and hear thunder within 30 seconds, get inside immediately. Then stay there for at least 30 minutes after the last clap of thunder. It might seem like a long time to wait, but it's better than becoming the next victim of a bolt from the blue.
The 30-30 rule. What is the 30-30 rule? If you see a flash and you hear thunder within the next 30 seconds, which is quite a long time, I know, retreat to a safe place for about 30 minutes.
This happened in Brazil and something insane happens I bet you won't be able to guess. If you guessed that man wearing a cap was about to walk directly into a spinning airplane propeller, you would be right. This footage is not gory, which is the only reason I can show it here. This man survived, but he came closer to the end than most people ever will. I'm being serious when I say these types of videos are very risky to watch because the outcome is usually much worse. In the clip, you can clearly see the man's cap fly right off his head. This means there were only mere inches between his skull and the moving blades. It is truly frightening how fast this moment almost turned into a fatal mistake. Thankfully, the man was completely unscathed, which you can see at the very end of the video. I feel a huge sense of relief that he is okay, but I never like seeing people take such unnecessary risks. Please do not ever attempt something this dangerous around aircraft. Stay tuned because our next story hits much closer to home. In the small town of Pleszew, Poland, a group of youngsters was out for a walk on a summer evening. The group included friends between 13 and 16 years old. They were just looking for something to do after the rain stopped. Their laughter filled the quiet path until they saw a high-voltage pole. One of them joked about climbing it, and soon a few were halfway up the metal structure. They thought it was just a game or a test of bravery. They did not realize how close they were getting to thousands of volts of electricity.
Pójdziesz wyżej, dalej? To idź, kurwa, ty! O ja pierdolę!
15-year-old Lucas was being the most reckless of the group. Near the top, he reached out his hand toward the power lines. Suddenly, a blinding white light flashed. The electricity jumped through the air and hit him before he even touched the wire. The shock was so strong it threw him backward. He fell 10 meters straight to the ground. His friends watched in horror as he lay still on the forest floor. In this video, you can see the aftermath of the flash. Miraculously, Lucas survived the fall and the shock. The current burned his arms and legs, and the fall broke his back. Doctors think the damp air from the rain actually saved his life by spreading out the electricity. If it had been a dry day, his life would have been taken instantly. Local officials called it a total miracle. I never liked seeing youngsters take risks like this for a bit of excitement. It shows how fragile life is when you meet real danger. On April 30th, 2022, a camera captured a shocking moment during the annual mountain hill climb in Austria. This race takes place between the towns of Landshaggen and St. Martin. The course is about 2.2 miles long and is known for being extremely dangerous. In this video, you can see a rider lose control at high speeds while navigating the steep terrain. The bike flips violently, sending the rider cartwheeling through the air in a terrifying display of physics.
Friedhofen mit einem 32, 28. 32, 28, keine Unterbrechung. Erwischt. Mit Flüssigkeitsverlust.
What you saw was an unbelievable accident that could have easily ended in tragedy. It is completely insane to watch, but the most shocking part isn't the crash itself. Somehow, the rider was not hurt at all. Instead of waiting for help, he immediately rushed back to his bike to continue the race. Clearly, he did not want a massive accident to ruin his day. I feel so nervous just watching him hop back on that machine after such a brutal fall. It's wild to think someone can tumble through the sky and just keep going a few seconds later. Even the spectators and other racers behind him look extremely confused by what they just witnessed. I have no idea how he walked away from that without a scratch. It was 1:20 a.m. when a woman named Lily started recording on her phone. She was home alone and heard a strange sound at her front door. It was a slow turn of the handle and the rattle of metal. At first, she hoped it was just the wind or a neighbor making a mistake, but the sound was steady and deliberate. Someone was clearly trying to get in her apartment. In the video, you can hear her breathing get very fast and heavy. The room is dark and the only sound is a creepy movement at the door. A few seconds later, the video shows footage from her security camera outside. It captures a man dressed all in black with a hood pulled tight over his face. He moves in a very calculated way, scanning the area before walking into the complex. Lily posted this on TikTok and said she would give updates, but she never did. The story just stopped right there. Millions of people were left wondering what happened next. Did the man get in? Did she call the police? No one has the answers. I would be absolutely terrified if I heard my door handle turning in the middle of the night. The comment section is full of theories, but no one knows the truth. It's the kind of mystery that stays with you because you don't know how it ended. Maybe it was just a confused stranger, or maybe it was something much darker. Every day, millions of people drive on highways and trust that everyone will follow the rules. We rely on those thin white lines to keep us safe, but it only takes one mistake for everything to fall apart. In this clip, a man is standing at the edge of a busy road. He is filming the traffic and waiting for a gap so he can cross. Suddenly, a car starts to drift out of its lane and moves slowly toward the man as if the driver isn't paying attention. Before anyone can react, another speeding vehicle slams into it from behind. The crash happens right at the man's feet. You can see metal twisting and tires exploding in the video. The wreckage misses him by just a few inches. He stands there frozen for a second, realizing how close he came to death. The car skid across the asphalt and shatter. No one knows exactly where this happened. I looked for police reports or news stories, but there's nothing solid. Some people think it was in Saudi Arabia, but there's no proof. It's just a fragment of chaos that has been shared all over the internet. This video is frightening because it shows how a simple lane change can turn lethal. For the man filming, it was pure luck that he wasn't hit. One step forward and the story would have been much darker. It's a reminder that the road isn't as predictable as we think. I want you to picture a quiet afternoon in your own home. You're just relaxing and going about your normal day when you hear a strange noise coming from the kitchen. At first you think it's nothing and try to ignore it, but the scratching sound keeps happening sporadically. This exact situation is what a family in West Java, Indonesia had to deal with recently.
Kakinya tahu ya gede banget. Buset deh. Wow, gila.
Buntut kita mah, Mi. Buntut kita mah.
Itu buntutnya.
Kita kaki belakangnya, Pak. Boleh minta videoin, Pak?
Ya, ini saya videoin. Saya videoin, Pak. Ya, enggak, saya videoin. Gede banget. Sini ngeliat nggak? Udah kepegang. Wow. Tuh, gede banget, gila.
Pak, kaki, Pak.
Wah, gede banget. Gila. Udah lama ini kok pelihara berarti ini. Ya Allah. Alhamdulillah. Untung belum mampus sendiri ya Allah. Alhamdulillah. Tuh, liatin tuh. Gede banget tuh.
They soon realized the cause wasn't a small rat or a common house bat. Instead, they found a massive monitor lizard hiding inside their kitchen ceiling. The reptile was so enormous that the officials who came to move it had a very difficult time. It's completely bizarre to me how a creature that large managed to crawl into the ceiling of a house. I would be absolutely terrified if I found a giant lizard looking down at me while I was trying to cook. Thankfully, the animal was not hurt during the process. The officials were able to relocate the lizard to a much safer area away from the neighborhood. This ensured that both the people and the animal remained safe. The shocking footage comes from Chia, Colombia and was recorded around December 21, 2020. Even if you don't know anything about construction work, you can see right away that safety was not a priority at this site.
Marica. No, baila, hermano. No.
In this video, you can see a group of laborers working deep inside a narrow trench. They appear to be trying to fix or install large pipes, but the walls of the pit have no support structures or shoring to keep the dirt in place. The lack of safety precautions turned into a total nightmare when the earth suddenly gave way. The opening they created collapsed in a split second, completely burying a worker under a massive pile of heavy soil. His colleagues rushed to the edge and started digging frantically with their bare hands to find him. It's a desperate and heartbreaking scene to watch as they try to save their friend from the crushing weight of the earth. I feel terrible for this man and the people who had to witness such a sudden tragedy. According to the limited reports from the area, the worker unfortunately passed away before they could pull him out. This is why I always always worry when I see people working in dangerous spots without the right gear. It only takes 1 second for a routine job to turn into a fatal disaster. It starts as a tiny point of light in the night sky. At first it looks like a star over Tel Aviv, but this isn't a star, and it's moving much too fast. Within seconds, the light starts to fall toward the earth. It grows brighter and brighter as it picks up speed. Then, without any sound or warning, it hits the ground. A massive eruption of light fills the horizon. This is some of the clearest footage ever caught of a ballistic missile strike. It was filmed during a wave of attacks known as Operation True Promise Free. Experts say these warheads can travel at speeds up to Mach 12. That is about 9,000 miles per hour. That is faster than a bullet and much faster than the speed of sound. In this video, you can see the missile penetrate the defenses. Even with advanced shields like the Iron Dome, some missiles still get through. It is a sobering look at what modern warfare looks like for people on the ground. The human brain can barely understand things moving that fast. By the time you see the light, it's already over. I feel for the people living in these cities who have to watch the sky with fear every night. It is easy to forget that behind these flashes of light are real homes and families. The technology is amazing, but the results are terrifying. We can only hope these videos serve as a warning for the future. This next video was recorded in Brooklyn, New York around September 6, 2024. It shows a scene that is both shocking and incredibly chaotic. What looks like a normal street quickly turns into a complete mess because of a towing operation gone wrong. A man was caught on camera trying to stop a truck from being towed, but then he took things way too far. The man actually tried to steal the tow truck itself. This part is especially confusing because at first glance the person in the shorts looks like the owner of the car. In reality, that is the actual tow truck driver trying to regain control of his vehicle. I cannot imagine the panic of seeing your work truck being driven away by a random stranger. Reports now show that 2 people suffered minor injuries during this wild incident. It also appears that the police have since detained the man who tried to take the truck. This whole situation is just insane and shows how fast a disagreement can spiral out of control. Keep watching because our next pick involves a massive explosion. This dashcam footage was captured in Kawaguchi, a city in the Japanese prefecture of Saitama, on July 18, 2024. It has been a while since I featured a film from Japan, and this clip is a very intense way to bring them back to the channel. As the car drives down a normal city street at night, a massive explosion suddenly rips through an apartment building on the left. The blast is so powerful that it lights up the entire sky for a moment. Emergency calls reported the explosion around 8:30 p.m. in the Namiki district. The fire department confirmed that at least 3 people were injured, including a 44-year-old man who had to be rushed to the hospital. It is still not entirely clear what caused the blast, but the odds of a passing car catching the exact moment on camera are incredibly low. This is a rare and frightening look at how fast your life can change while you are just sitting at home. The force of the explosion sent large glass fragments flying over 100 meters away from the building. Some of these strands were found to be nearly 8 inches long. I feel so uneasy thinking about the people living nearby who were showered with broken glass. It really shows you how much power was packed into that blast. The conflict in Ukraine continues to produce some of the most intense footage I've ever seen. Both sides are constantly escalating their tactics, and the results are often devastating. This next video was recorded around the 17th or 18th of September 2024. It's hard to pinpoint the exact location during an active war, but most reports say this happened in Toropets.
Смотри, 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 идет сюда. Офигеть, сейчас. Видели эту волну? Просто жесть. А как светло было, вообще круто.
What you're seeing is one of the largest explosions on the entire conflict so far. You can actually see the massive shockwave ripple through the air, which is just wild to witness on camera. It's believed that a drone hit a major ammunition depot in the area. This would explain why the secondary blast was so incredibly large and bright. This video has a very disturbing undertone because of the sheer power on display. I feel terrible for anyone who has to live near a blast zone like that. The scale of the destruction is something that is hard to wrap your head around. This is why I always feel lucky to live in a peaceful area. This video starts like any other motorcycle clip on a quiet road. You hear the rumble of the engine as the rider enjoys the open air, but the mood changes quickly when he sees a woman on the side of the road. She is crying and has her face buried in her hands. The biker slows down and pulls over to see if she's okay.
You good? What's going on?
I'm really afraid of my boyfriend. He's kicking things and threatening to burn my back.
Do you want me to take you somewhere? Alright. Is he driving? Where's the car? Alright, come on. Okay. Where do you live? Tennessee. Alright, I'll take you into town.
Yeah, I just need a hotel or something.
Alright, here, put this on.
You have your wallet with you? No, it's in my bag.
She tells him through her tears that she is scared because her boyfriend has been threatening her. She says he was shouting and kicking things and she didn't know where to go. The biker stays with her and tries to figure out how to help. It is a moment that makes you feel good about human kindness. A stranger stopping to help someone in real distress is always a powerful thing. However, there is a very unsettling side to this video. The clip ends suddenly, and the person who uploaded it never posted the second part. People in the comments started to worry that something went wrong. In some places, people stage emergencies to lure kind strangers into an ambush. It's a cruel way to take advantage of someone's empathy. We don't know if this woman's story was real or if it was a trap. The silence from the uploader makes the whole thing feel very wrong. I hope the biker and the woman are both safe, but the lack of an update is haunting. It reminds us that even when we want to help, we have to be careful. Sometimes what looks like a cry for help is actually something much more dangerous. Check out this crazy footage from Thailand involving a boat tour that went horribly wrong. In this video, you can see a small vessel packed with tourists struggling against rough waters. It is a good reminder that taking the cheapest tour option isn't always the best move for your safety. The captain of this boat steered the group directly into a massive breaking wave that threatened to flip the entire boat over. The most terrifying part of this clip is that almost nobody on the boat is wearing a life jacket. If that wave had capsized the vessel, all those people would have been dumped into the churning ocean without any way to float. I can't imagine the panic of being trapped on a small boat while a wall of water crashes down on top of you. It is a situation that could have easily turned into a mass tragedy in seconds. I'm relieved to say that everyone on board survived without any reported injuries. I checked the Thai news and didn't find any reports of a tragedy, so it seems they got very lucky this time. I feel so stressed just watching them navigate those waves without any safety gear. This is exactly why I always double check the equipment before I get on any boat. China has dealt with several powerful storms this year, including Typhoon Yagi. Most recently, Typhoon Babinka made landfall in the city of Shanghai. While it was only a Category 1 storm, it was still the most powerful typhoon to hit that specific area since 1949. Over 500,000 people had to be evacuated from their homes to stay safe from the wind and rain. In this video, captured in the city of Suzhou, you can see how dangerous the wind can be. A person riding a scooter is traveling down the street when a massive piece of a roof is suddenly blown away. The heavy debris flies through the air and almost hits the rider directly. It is a terrifying reminder how quickly the weather can turn deadly. I get a pit in my stomach seeing how close that person came to being crushed. This is why I always tell people to stay inside during major storms like this. Even if a typhoon seems weak on paper, the flying debris can be fatal. It is a miracle that more people weren't hurt in that specific moment. Helicopters are seen as symbols of power and speed. They land on rooftops and private estates all over the world. To most people, they are just a way to save time, but every landing is a very dangerous moment. The pilot and machine have to work perfectly together. One small mistake can lead to disaster in less than a second. A video recently started going around online that shows this danger perfectly. It shows a group of people standing way too close to a helicopter while the blades are spinning. One man starts to walk forward calmly. He acts like he doesn't realize the invisible blades are right above him. In the next moment, there is a violent impact. The man collapses instantly as screams fill the air. The video cuts off before you can see what happens next. I searched for news or accident files to find out who this man was. Some say it happened in 2020, while others think it was much longer ago. There are rumors that the man was a wealthy businessman who owned the helicopter. Expert pilots say these blades spin at 400 revolutions per minute. The tips move faster than the speed of sound, making them almost impossible to see. A single misjudged step is all it takes for your life to be taken. This clip is a haunting reminder that control is often just an illusion. It is a tragic story that we may never have all the answers to. This unbelievable footage surfaced on social media recently and comes from the Naninsky district of Kazakhstan. This area is home to an industrial zone called Orasai, where the KMG Supply Company is located. This company handles large amounts of sulfur and petroleum coke, which are highly flammable materials. In the video, you can see what looks like a glowing river moving through the dark landscape. You might think you're looking at a river of water at first, but that is actually a river of fire. This is burning molten sulfur flowing across the ground, and it creates a scene that looks like something out of a movie about the end of the world. Other materials in the area caught fire as well, creating a massive blaze that was extremely difficult for crews to control. It's a surreal and haunting sight to see liquid fire moving through the dirt. The fire broke out on July 27, 2024. It required a massive response from emergency services. Over 300 people, 100 vehicles, and even a specialized firefighting train had to be brought in to extinguish the flames. I feel a huge sense of relief that there were no casualties reported despite how dangerous this situation was. It took a long time to get the facts, but the scale of this operation was truly massive. In the quiet town of Vienna, Missouri, the residents of Vienna Point were fast asleep. It was August 7, 2025. The air was still and the night seemed safe, but a high-ranking official was about to make a mistake that would destroy everything. Vienna Police Chief Shannon Thompson arrived at the care facility just before midnight. He was only there to check on a 911 call that had been made by mistake. While he stood near the entrance, he lit a cigarette. Security cameras captured him tossing the lit butt into a plastic planter on his way out. Investigators later pointed out that a proper ash can was sitting just 10 feet away. Have you ever wondered how such a small spark could lead to so much destruction? Thompson later claimed he tried to put the fire out with a shoe. He also told officials he thought this specific brand of cigarettes would put themselves out, but he was wrong. For 19 minutes, the embers smoldered in the dry soil. Suddenly, the planter burst into flames. The fire climbed the walls and tore through the roof. By the time the fire department arrived, the building was a furnace. The crews tried to fight back, but they ran into a series of disasters. Their hoses got clogged with sediment from the old water lines. Then the town water tower began to run empty. They had to call in tankers from other towns just to get enough water to stop the spread. I feel so relieved that the firefighters were able to rescue all the residents in time, but the $4.4 million facility was completely gutted. The images of the orange glow against a dark sky are truly haunting. It is a heavy thought that home for the elderly was lost because of one discarded cigarette. Prosecutors are currently deciding if the chief should face criminal charges for what happened. It is hard for me to believe that someone in his position would be so careless. In this footage, shared by Derbyshire Police, a normal afternoon in Derby, England, turned into a scene of pure tension. You can see 38-year-old Jamie Burks walking through the city while swinging a heavy garden spade high above his head. He looks completely detached from reality as he marches past shops and unsuspecting pedestrians. I cannot imagine how terrifying it would be to see a man with a metal tool act in this way while you're just trying to go about your day. Two police community support officers and a group of worried bystanders began to surround him, trying their best to keep the public safe. But Burks was not going to go quietly. He suddenly began to lash out with a spade, putting everyone nearby in immediate danger. I feel so much respect for the random bystander who decided to take action when others were frozen in fear. Out of nowhere, this hero charged forward and tackled Burks to the ground with incredible force. Even after he was pinned down and the spade was gone, the violence did not stop. While officers tried to restrain him, Burks head-butted one of them in the leg and spat directly at another. It is truly disgusting to see someone treat emergency workers with that much aggression.
Yeah. Yeah, hold up.
Burks was eventually charged with 5 counts of assault and was sentenced to 27 weeks in prison. This is exactly why I always try to stay aware of my surroundings when I'm walking through a city alone. Mont Blanc is the highest peak in the Alps and rises over 15,000 feet above sea level. It is one of the most popular mountains in the world, with more than 20,000 people trying to reach the summit every single year. But this popularity comes with a very dark side. This video shows how quickly a routine climb can turn into a fight for your life when nature decides to strike back. While a group of climbers was moving along a narrow path, a massive rockfall suddenly occurred right in front of them. Huge boulders stumbled down the mountainside, kicking up clouds of dust and debris. In this video, you can see a safety line attached to the rock, which proves this is a path that people use all the time. It is probably the only way across that section of the mountain. What makes this clip so scary is knowing what would happen if those people had been just a few feet further along the trail. Over 1,400 people have died on Mont Blanc, and another 100 pass away every year. That is a shocking number when you realize that Mount Everest has only claimed about 330 lives in total. I feel so much respect and fear for people who take on these heights. It was the morning of January 4, 2026 when a man decided to break into a locked construction site. A remote security worker watching the live camera feeds noticed a stranger climbing over a high fence. This suspect, later identified as 33-year-old Juan Rincon Carreno, was trying to start up a massive piece of heavy machinery. When a security guard on the ground went to confront him, the situation turned violent almost immediately. Carreno became very aggressive and started screaming that he was going to kill the guard. He pulled out a screwdriver and held it like a weapon. I feel so bad for that guard, who was just trying to do his job and suddenly had to face a man threatening his life. The guard and the remote worker both called 911, but things were about to get much worse.
Hey, tell me exactly what happened.
We just had somebody hop the fence, and it looks like he's hot wiring one of the bulldozers right now.
Do you have video of this?
I'm watching him live right now.
You're on scene or video?
Over video, and we have a guard on site, and I did dispatch them.
Okay, hold on one sec. And he's hot wiring a bulldozer?
It looks like it, yeah.
Okay, I'll get a description.
Kind of hot wire.
Okay, hold on. Okay, the suspect, white, black, Hispanic, or Asian?
Looks either white or Hispanic.
Okay. Can you tell how old he might be?
Maybe late 20s, 30s.
Okay. And what color shirt and pants is he wearing?
He has a tan beanie, a tan jacket, looks like gray or black pants, and white shoes.
Okay. Did he arrive on foot or in a car?
On foot. He hopped the fence.
Before the police could arrive and stop him, Carreno actually managed to start a large front loader. He crashed the heavy vehicle through the perimeter fence and drove it straight out onto the public streets. When the first officer arrived and tried to pull him over, Carreno completely ignored the commands. Instead of stopping, he turned the front loader and drove it directly at the patrol cars. You can see the pure chaos as he slams into the vehicles. Officers had to open fire as he kept charging toward them. He eventually rammed 2 police cars so hard that the front loader became stuck.
Shots fired.
When the police tried to pull him out of the cab, a desperate struggle began. The fight was so intense that 2 officers and Carreno all fell several feet off the machine and hit the ground. Both of those officers had to be rushed to the hospital with injuries. Carreno was also hospitalized with 2 gunshot wounds from the encounter. He is now facing serious felony charges like attempted murder, vehicle theft, and resisting an officer with a deadly weapon. He was supposed to be in court on January 7, but he is still in the hospital recovering. It is terrifying to think that someone can just steal a massive construction vehicle and use it as a weapon against the public. I never like seeing reports where officers get hurt just trying to keep the peace.
Copy, I see him. And he's taking off. He's coming towards me now. Hey! He's coming right at my patrol vehicle. Hey! Stop! Stop now! He's coming at me. Stop! Get on the ground! Stop her! He's still moving. Go to the pole park. Stop right there! Stop! Stop! Do not move!
Shots fired.
Do not move!
In the early morning of August 6, 2025, the silence outside a Bristol defense factory was broken. 6 activists from a group called Palestine Action launched a coordinated raid on the Elbit Systems UK site. They arrived in a repurposed prison van and used it to ram through the building entrance. In this police bodycam footage, you can see the suspects wearing bright red boiler suits. It looks like a scene from a movie, but the danger for the officers involved was very real.
Arrest the guys. I'm going back.
I'm not fast enough, mate.
I'm a bit concussed.
Oh, okay, well then you should definitely go.
Are you gonna leave or not?
I'm leaving.
Okay, leave
Mate,
that.
go. It's not on the pay grade, man.
As police rushed to the scene, the confrontation turned physical almost immediately. Prosecutors say that during the break-in, one of the activists began attacking officers with a heavy sledgehammer. In the recording, you can hear the frantic calls for more units as the police struggle to gain control. At one point, an officer can be heard shouting that they have been hit with hammers. The thought of someone swinging a blunt metal tool at a human being in the dark is truly disturbing.
People, red dot. Get back! Come, small units, small units. Mate, drop that now. Now! Drop that! Taser, taser! Right, stay where you are.
We got every single unit.
Right, get your down now! Get your hands out now! Right, you're under arrest for criminal damage and a fray, okay?
Can you please
No.
do it so quick?
Get your arms to your back.
No, you don't have to do that. Legally, you don't have to do that.
Get your arms.
I've got...
Look,
Ow! Me!
get on the floor!
Floor!
Right,
Can you just please?
stop.
Ow!
Messing
No,
around.
that really hurt.
Yes, you're messing.
Ow, my... Ow!
Taser, taser! Come, we need more. We've had 2 tasers. We've been hit with hammers. Can you just get units, please?
You're literally standing on me!
Right. Yeah.
Ow!
Right.
The people identified in the raid include Charlotte Head, Samuel Corner, Leona Cameo, Fatima Rajwani, Zoe Rogers, Jordan Devlin. They currently face charges for aggravated burglary, criminal damage, and violent disorder. I feel terrible for the officers who had to deal with this level of unexpected violence. No one should have to go to work and worry about being attacked with a sledgehammer. While the group denies the allegations in court, the video evidence shows a very intense struggle. It makes me realize how dangerous these early morning calls can be for first responders. Have you ever seen a protest escalate this quickly? This CCTV footage was recorded in Chaoyang region of China just a few days ago at 3 a.m. The security camera captured something that should have never been caught on film. When you see a lone man sleeping in a quiet hotel lobby, your mind probably jumps to a lot of horrifying or violent thoughts. But strangely enough, the mystery in this video is not what you might expect. The man in the clip was sleeping at the front desk when he was suddenly awoken by the sound of a visitor. He looked up to see a massive bear standing just a few feet away from him. I know some of you had told me in the past that the bears I feature aren't actually that big, but I think you will agree this one is a giant. It's truly a bizarre sight to see such a powerful predator wandering into a modern hotel. The bear stayed surprisingly calm while it explored the lobby. The man was able to slowly back away and get to safety without the animal chasing him or acting aggressive. Witnesses say the bear eventually found some snacks, grabbed them, and just walked back out the door like it was nothing. I feel so glad that the hotel worker was able to stay cool and get away. It's not every day you wake up to a bear checking in for the night. In this footage, shared by the YouTube channel El Mundo Paranormal, we see a recording made by an 11-year-old youngster. This young one had been noticing strange movements coming from the lower floor of her family home. Initially, her curiosity pushed her to get a closer look at what was happening in the shadows of the hallway. However, that curiosity swiftly gave way to a paralyzing fear. She grabbed her brand new mobile phone with shaking hands and started filming the dark, empty room. She called out frantically for her mother as the panic in the house grew with every passing second. The act of pressing record seemed to provoke the entity even further. I feel terrible that this youngster had to witness her home turning into a living nightmare.
Ma, venga, se está moviendo la silla. Mamá. Mamá, venga. Mamá. Mamá.
A nearby chair begins rocking steadily on its own as if nudged by an unseen hand. The activity intensified the moment she started filming the scene. A small toy car slides eerily across the floor without any person touching it. Other objects in the room begin shifting as if they are caught in a current of invisible force. The room comes alive with movement that is chaotic and deliberate. It is impossible to dismiss what is happening on the screen. No youngster should have to deal with furniture and toys moving on their own. I find it very disturbing to see a safe space become so hostile. What should have been a safe haven revealed itself as something far more sinister. This young one realized she was never truly alone in that house. I can only imagine the lasting scars this experience left on her. How would you react if you were alone and your furniture started moving? Would you stay in the house or run outside immediately? This is why I always keep the lights on when I'm home by myself. The thought of a home turning against a person is truly chilling. Stay tuned for our next pick because things are about to get even scarier. In this video by a local witness, we see a massive construction site in Beyazıt, Turkey. The footage captures a moment that is far from ordinary as a giant retaining wall begins to fail. You can actually hear the metal braces pinging and snapping one by one under the pressure to become unstable, leading to this total structural collapse. During the early hours of the morning, a youngster named Zach was entirely by himself. His parents were away on a trip and he was home alone. He expected a peaceful night in his own bed with the comfort of his routine. The silence of the house usually felt very safe to him, but that night, the quiet was actually quite deceptive. His familiar home was about to show him a much darker side. Zach later claimed that many weird things happened during those hours. However, he only managed to record one specific event on his phone. I always feel uneasy when I'm home alone and hear a small noise.
I don't this house anymore. What? No!
In this video by Zach, we see him lying restless in his bed. He could not shake the creeping sensation that something was wrong in the room. He grabbed his mobile phone and started a recording to document the fear. Initially, nothing happened in the dark room. There was only the heavy stillness of a sleepless night. Then, without any warning, the following occurred. His trash can begins to move on its own. It slides across the floor with a swift motion. Zach freezes in place from the sudden terror. His horrified expression tells you everything you need to know about his fear. I hate seeing people get targeted in their own bedrooms like this. This specific clip was the very last update Zach ever shared online. He never posted a follow-up or gave any explanation for the event. There is only a deep silence where this content used to be on the platform. This leaves us with many disturbing questions about what happened next. Some people believe a restless spirit moved that object to scare him. Others think something demonic or much darker was in that room with him. We may never know what happened to this youngster after the camera stopped. It is a tragic way for a story to end. This video shows a plastic resin factory in Taiwan that recently became the site of a disaster. A massive fire broke out and sent thick black smoke into the air. When a fire starts in a chemical plant, an explosion is almost guaranteed to follow. The camera captures a dark mushroom cloud, but looks incredibly ominous and scary. I never like seeing smoke like that because it usually means something very dangerous is happening. As the fire develops, bright orange flames lick the sides of the factory buildings. A huge blast rocks the entire area as the chemicals ignite, turning the sky black from the intensity of the resin fire. You can hear emergency sirens in the distance as the situation worsens. The authorities reported that every person working inside was moved to safety before the blast. It is lucky that no one was wounded or killed during the terrifying event. Investigators are still trying to find the exact reason the fire started in the first place. You should always know the evacuation routes if you work in a high-risk building. This type of explosion is a reminder of how quickly a workplace can turn into a zone of destruction. How would you react if you saw a mushroom cloud rising over your city? In this video by Sophie, we see a night of babysitting turn into a terrifying nightmare. She was watching over a house that felt wrong from the moment she arrived at the front door. The family owned a large collection of unsettling dolls that were placed in every corner of the residence. These figures stood silently and seemed to watch her movements throughout the entire evening. It is truly disturbing to think about being trapped in a house full of eyes. Initially, Sophie thought the decor was just a bit strange and tried to ignore the feeling. She put the youngster to bed and expected a quiet night of relaxation. However, the atmosphere in the home changed the moment she was left alone in the living area. I always feel nervous in houses that have too many eyes watching me from the shadows.
Babysitting, and I just found the creepiest thing. Look at this. What is that? Oh my god. No, but what is it? It's so creepy. It's freaking me out. Is this real hair? Oh my god. And look.
Sophie eventually decided to record the dolls so she could show her friends the creepy collection she was dealing with.
Guys, I just came in to make dinner and look what I found. Another one. Oh my gosh. It's a boy this time. Oh my god. Why would you look at that? Why would anyone have this in their house? Honestly, it's the creepiest thing I've ever seen. Oh my god, it has another bell. Oh my god. Guys, guess who I am?
In the footage, you can see Sophie pan the camera across a silent room. A small figure moves across the background in a quick motion while she is filming. The young one was already asleep in his own bed at this exact time, so he could not have been in the hallway.
The TV just literally turned itself off by itself, and then the lights started going insane. Let me show you. Okay, wait for it, because it was literally just happening a second ago. Max? Better not be out of bed. Okay, I think I'm just gonna get him and go because it's really freaking me out.
One of the dolls also appears to have shifted its position slightly during the recording process. I feel terrible that Sophie had to experience this while she was responsible for a young one. Some people believe the youngster got out of his bed and walked past the camera without being noticed. Others insist that one of the dolls actually moved on its own across the floor. The movement in the video is very fluid and extremely hard to explain with logic. If you're ever babysitting in a strange home, you should keep all the lights on to stay safe. You should also check on the youngster regularly to ensure they are resting peacefully. Does a simple decoration like a doll really have the power to haunt a family home? Sophie never saw the figure again, but she could not shake the heavy feeling of being watched. She moved with a swift pace toward the door the moment the parents returned that night. She left the house immediately and never agreed to go back there again. This story reminds us that some homes hold secrets we can never truly understand. On February 22, 2021, a routine afternoon in Rochester, New York, took a dark and chaotic turn. It began on Clifford Avenue, where police stopped a woman after she was accused of shoplifting from a nearby store. She wasn't alone. She was accompanied by her young daughter, a toddler who was about to be thrust into the center of a high-stakes police encounter. Initially, the interaction seems almost civil. The officer tells the woman he needs her to wait while they verify the shoplifting report. The woman is adamant that she hasn't taken anything, showing the officer the diapers and wipes in her bag. She is clearly distressed, her voice shaking as she tries to prove her innocence. But as the officer insists she gets into the patrol car to return to the store, the atmosphere shifts from a simple inquiry to desperate confrontation.
Store. Oh, come on. They said you stole. What'd you take? Tell me who you took.
Oh, listen, sir.
Tell me the truth.
No, I'm going to tell you the
Okay,
truth.
I don't have time for BS, so you better be quick with me.
Yeah, listen.
Okay, what's up?
Okay, so I walked in the store.
Right.
Right there. He said I picked up something.
Okay.
Now, I cleared, if I picked up something.
Yeah.
Okay, let me show you.
Yeah, show me. You gotta show me. You just set the kid down. You'll be all right, honey. It's okay. Relax.
What?
Mom's gonna show me something. What did he say you stole?
He said I just stole something out of that store. And I promise on God, I didn't steal nothing. There's like diapers, lights and stuff in this stuff. Nothing in this.
What are they saying you stole?
He said I stole, I don't even know. He just said he was gonna call y'all.
All right. 457, was there any description of what was taken?
Negative, no description of item.
All right, Tepor, if you're holding the air, you can release it.
Nothing, right?
Yeah. Well, we gotta talk with them and see. So I need you to hop in my car with your kid really quick, and we're gonna go check.
Sir.
Fine.
Sir.
You know what? Even better. Hold on. Watch this. I'm gonna have him check. Once he confirms you didn't steal, you're out of here. But you have to stay with me.
What?
Yep.
In a split-second decision, fueled by fear, the woman takes off running. She isn't just running for herself, she is carrying her child in her arms. The officer gives chase, calling out her movements over the radio as they head toward Portland Avenue. What follows is a frantic and disturbing struggle for control.
Hey! Oh, we got a female running towards Portland. She's running through Mojo's here. Hey, come here. Stop.
I didn't do.
Stop.
I did not do anything.
Hey, we're right in the parking lot here.
Stop it.
Would you stop backing up?
Okay.
Put the kid down.
Okay.
Put the kid down. Put your arms behind your back now. Put your arms behind your back. Stop.
The footage captures the harrowing moments as the officers catch up to her. In the heat of the pursuit, the woman is pepper sprayed and forced to the ground. The most chilling part of the recording isn't just the shouting of the police, but the heartbroken screams of the child, who is caught in the middle of the physical struggle.
Relax. Stop. Stop. Just relax. Stop. What are you? Matt, Bill, come over here. Stop. Relax. You're okay. It's okay. She's fine. Just relax, please.
I didn't stop anything.
Stop grabbing your daughter. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want your daughter to get hurt. Get on the ground. Stop. Stop grabbing your daughter. Stop. Let go. Oh my God. What is wrong with her? Stop moving. Okay, I don't want you to get hurt. You're under arrest. Stop resisting. What is? I know. I'm trying to help her, bro. I didn't hit you. Okay, all right.
The officers later claimed they used physical force specifically to get the woman to release the child so she wouldn't get hurt. But the image of a mother being restrained while her toddler cries in terror is a sight that is hard to forget.
Dude, yeah, I know. Get her. Can you hit her or not? Hey, stop. Stay in the ground. Let me cuff her. The kid's okay. Okay. I don't want her to walk away, bro. Stop it. You have her under control. Away from your car. Okay, you need to relax. There you go. Thank you. Oh, grab her left arm. Stop it. She's crazy. You're crazy. How about you don't steal from Rite Aid?
I did not steal anything.
After the woman is finally handcuffed and placed in the back of a cruiser, a strange and somber transition occurs. The high adrenaline chase is over, and the officers begin the process of searching her for the allegedly stolen goods. They check her pockets, her shoes, and even the lining of her coat. But as the search continues, the truth begins to emerge. Despite the aggressive takedown and the use of chemical spray, no stolen items are found. The woman continues to plead her case, explaining how she ties her coat and why she was in the area. The officer even comments that she might be on the news later, acknowledging that bystanders had filmed the entire ordeal.
Alright. See a bus and a rat.
Oh, like a bus stop.
Yeah.
Why'd you want to run from her?
Well, I could've.
I know. Come on. Like, we're just trying to be nice.
Yeah, your guy is. There's nothing wrong.
I know. Thanks for being cooperative, though.
Yeah.
You might be on the news later tonight, though.
Why?
People were filming us. This guy right here, he's filming us going, hey, sir. Sir. He wants to talk with you. Yeah, he was filming it. Just wants to make sure you're okay. I was telling her probably gonna be on the news later. Oh yeah. She all right? Yeah.
All right.
No, you're not necessarily going to jail. Might be in a parent station. You gotta figure it out. I'm just saying for the eyes getting rinsed. If you don't want them rinsed, you don't want them rinsed.
No.
Okay, you have to say that to my sergeant though. Okay.
I thought you were the.
I'm just an officer. He's the sergeant. Okay. So just hang on 1 second. All right, dear.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice Nikes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
In the end, the woman was charged with trespassing and issued an appearance ticket. She wasn't held in custody, and the police department later stated that the child was not directly hit by the pepper spray. However, the damage was done. The incident sparked a massive internal investigation, and one of the officers involved was placed on administrative leave. It serves as a haunting reminder how quickly a suspicion can escalate into a traumatic event, leaving a young child caught in the crossfire of a situation that spiraled out of control. In this photo by Reddit user Red Desert Cowboy, we see a woman documenting the end of an old school. The building was being torn down to make room for a new construction project. Initially, the woman thought she was just taking normal pictures of the demolition process. She walked through the dusty corridors and took a swift look at the falling walls. She felt safe because she believed she was completely alone in that wing of the building. However, the reality of the situation was much different than she imagined. Later that day, she reviewed the images she had struck on her camera. I find it very creepy that she did not notice the figure until she got home and looked closely. One specific image stood out because of a dark shape standing in the hallway. In this photo, you can see these specific details. A tall, shadowy figure stands just to the left of the center of the frame. The person or entity is dark and partly hidden by the dim light of the hall. No construction workers were assigned to that section of the school that day. The entire area had already been cleared out for the safety of the demolition crew. I feel terrible for this photographer because she was in a dangerous place with something unknown. If you ever explore old buildings, you should always go with a partner. You should also carry a bright flashlight to see into dark corners. Who was standing in that hallway while the building crumbled? Was it a trick of the eye caused by the dust and sunlight hitting the walls? Or was it a teacher who refused to leave the school they loved for so many years? Many youngsters used to walk these halls every single day when the school was open. It makes me sad to think that a spirit might be trapped in a place being destroyed. She left the area with a quick walk after she finished her work. This story reminds us that some buildings hold on to the past long after people leave. You should be careful when exploring ruins because you never know who stayed behind. In this video, we see a man looking at something very strange floating in the sky. Usually, you would expect to see a bird, plane, or even a youngster's kite. This unlucky guy was faced with a situation that is hard to believe even when you see it on camera. A large greenhouse was lifted off the ground by strong winds and sent flying through the air. It's impressive how high the structure traveled before it started to fall back down. If you watch closely, the white greenhouse spins as it drifts over the trees. The man remains focused on his phone while he records the object, unaware of the danger. The heavy structure descends with a swift motion toward the cameraman until the screen goes dark as the greenhouse makes direct contact with him. The man was so mesmerized by the sight that he did not move out of the way. I feel terrible that he was struck by a building while he was just trying to film. He moved with a quick pace, only when it was already too late to avoid the crash. How would you react if you saw a house flying toward you from the clouds? It is a sentence I never expected to say, but he was hit by a flying greenhouse. You should always pay attention to your surroundings when filming in high winds. In this video by Henry, we see a creator working alone in his home. He wanted to film a video about how to clean a pan and kill bacteria. Initially, everything went exactly the way he wanted. He spoke to his audience and followed his normal kitchen routine. Then he made a small mistake and decided to start the scene over. Henry did not know that his second attempt would be very dangerous. I feel terrible that he was alone when this event happened. You should always stay alert when you're filming in an empty house.
The thing I'm going to do to ensure the best quality hangover and to kill any nasty little bugs that are in the wine. Oh, you can all stop asking me to upload a video now. What was it? What was this? Airlock. Hang on. You're on a tripod, so. What was this? What was it? Open this one. Is that it? Do something else now, will ya?
Henry stands at the counter with his cleaning supplies ready. He laughs after he makes a minor error while speaking. The room behind him looks completely still and empty. He starts to wipe the pan for the second time. Suddenly, an object flew across the room with a swift motion. The item was aimed directly at the back of Henry's head. The camera shows this moment with very clear detail. This was not a quiet noise or a simple trick of the light. It was a physical attack that could have wounded him. Most ghosts use cold air or flickering lights to scare people. This force seemed intent on causing actual bodily harm to Henry. What would you do if a heavy object was thrown at you? The item that struck him was fortunately not very heavy. If the object was solid metal, the outcome would be much worse. Henry left the room quickly after the encounter ended. I would never stay in a house where objects fly at my head. This footage proves that some places have very dark energy. You should keep your work area clear so you can see movement. People who work on oil rigs in the ocean have some of the most dangerous jobs on Earth. In this video, we see a man attempting to perform a routine task on a ladder. He is wearing a safety harness to prevent himself from falling into the dark water below. Ironically, the very equipment meant to save him almost caused his death.
Fucking unclip. Go on, get off. Oh, you know. You know.
This is too much, man.
Things on an oil rig can go wrong with a quick shift in the weather or a mechanical failure. Observe the worker as he climbs down a narrow metal ladder over the waves. His harness gets snagged on the structure as he moves, and he becomes trapped in a terrifying position while the ocean surges around him. Other workers move with a swift pace to help him get free before the water pulls him under. I cannot imagine the fear of being stuck over the open sea with no way to move. This is exactly why offshore drilling is labeled as a scary and dangerous occupation. You should always double check your gear before you start a climb in a dangerous area. One small mistake with a rope or a clip can lead to a fatal accident. He was very lucky to get back to the platform without being wounded. Would you be brave enough to work in the middle of the ocean? Just after 4:30 in the afternoon on May 22, 2021, police were rushed to the La Crosse Regional Airport in Wisconsin after reports came in that a man had somehow breached security and ended up on the runway. Witnesses said he appeared disoriented, possibly under the influence, and was wandering on the tarmac as planes prepared for arrival. Airport operations halted as officers scrambled to locate him and prevent a disaster. When officers confronted the man, later identified as Edward, he refused to comply. He spoke in fragmented sentences, alternating between pleading for help and insisting he had to save people inside the terminal. His words were erratic, filled with religious references and cryptic statements about disappearing, ignored commands to get on the ground, resisted restraint, and began moving unpredictably across the runway.
Down on the ground. I'm telling you, I want you guys to help me. Get down on the ground. Get down on the ground right now. Please help me. Get down on the ground. Please help me. Get on the ground now. Get on the ground. I'm going to save everybody. Deployed. I'm going to help you. Roll on the ground. Roll on the ground. Turn over. Turn over. Turn over. Turn over now. Turn over. Roll over. You're going to stay here. Stop. Stop. Down on the ground. Stop pressing. It's going to help me. Help me. I'm going to help you. Oh. Down on the ground. God, I love Jesus! Oh, give me your hand. I'll do it. Stop. Stop resisting. I'm not resisting. Jesus Christ. Stop. I want to save Terry. I want to save Terry. I want to save Terry now. Just kidding. Yes, I do. Because I never listen to him. No, I'm just kidding. Help me, Lord! Arrest me! No, I'm a good guy! Don't! What's your name, bud? Listen. What's your name? I have to get up. I'm not sure. I have to get up and leave. We got an ambulance coming for you, okay? To help him. Let me back up over there, no questions asked. I gotta get out of here. It's to help everybody else. No, it's important to help them. Bring me over there.
A taser was deployed twice, finally allowing officers to bring him to the ground. Even then, he continued rambling about mistakes he needed to fix and people he needed to save. Airport staff later told police that when they had first encountered him, he said he had to get inside to protect people in the terminal, though he could not explain from what.
Yep. I want to go save somebody. Okay, so you're on airport property, okay? Just tell us. If I disappear, I help everybody. What do you got to say, bud? Seeing they couldn't do that. I'm going to turn around and still go straight to it, but I trust you guys. I trust everybody. I have to help. Okay, we're going to get you some help, all right? You bring me over and you show me what to do. I'm not a coward. Just relax, Edward. Just relax, okay? Put your hands behind you. Please help me. What you been taking today, bud? I'll tell you something. It's important for me to get away from here and save everybody. Save them from what? I don't know. I need to go back to me. I don't even know my name. I don't even need to know me. Okay, we're going to get you some help, okay, bud? Just thank you. For my sakes, I'll do it. I'm fine. Stay where you're at. I'm fine. I need to get another trick here. I can't be. I gotta go. Disappear. Please, listen.
You can continue excited delirium.
Listen, I want to help by disappearing and then doing it for everybody else. Trust me on this one. I never got around. I want to help them guys by getting away from everybody. I don't know my name because I can't know my name.
Officers pieced together that Edward had been seen earlier walking along nearby streets before somehow reaching the perimeter and climbing over a tall barbed fence. He carried no clear destination, no boarding pass, no coherent plan, just a relentless belief that he had to act before something terrible happened.
I don't know my name. I can't know my name.
As long as they're on their way, I guess. What happened?
We just came around and he was walking and I told him to get down on the ground and he wouldn't get on the ground and started running and then we tased him 2 times.
We have everything down. All you guys do is just know. I only did it for a reason. I actually started running towards you because
What's the reason? They're saying.
I gotta go back.
A what?
I know what I gotta do because of.
What do you got to do?
He's got a card, Minnesota EBT or something. They're all just hotel cards and a quick trip card.
Your name Ed?
Yeah. I feel like I've heard that name before. Yeah, he did,
I made some mistakes. I want to deal with them like a man.
What was your mistake?
Not knowing.
Making any sense at all?
Not knowing.
No. He said you need to catch a flight out here and get to the airport. I actually saw him walking on Dawson Avenue.
Was he carrying something?
He had a bag.
I saw that too.
Yeah. I should actually ask this airport guy if he can go down and look for it.
Where do you want to go?
I gotta get away from fear because I thought I picked everything up. I'm pretty sure.
You're not gonna get goofy on us if we sit you up on your butt, right? Might be a little easier for you to breathe. Sit up on your butt. You're right there for me, okay?
I was gonna have a note because I'm actually a good guy.
Okay, you seem like a good guy.
Yeah, I pretty much knew who this was as soon as we got called up here, so.
Some excited delirium, we think.
Okay.
He's been tased twice.
Do we know where he came from or anything
Other side
about
of the
it?
fence. No, we don't know.
Okay.
He's keeps talking about he has to fix something or he did something wrong, but he's
my
not
Do
making
we know
sense.
who he is?
Edward?
Edward? Ed, hey Ed, what's your last name? Can you tell me your name? Yeah, we can. We sure can. We can bring you to the hospital. That's our option.
Eventually, Edward was removed from the runway and taken into custody. The immediate danger passed, but the encounter left everyone unsettled. A single confused man had shut down an airport, placing himself in the path of an aircraft, driven by thoughts no one else could see or understand. Edward was later charged with resisting and obstructing an officer, disorderly conduct, and bail jumping. He was released on bond and nearly 2 years later pleaded guilty to resisting. In the end, he was sentenced to 120 days in jail. The runway returned to normal that day, but for those who witnessed it, the image of a man wandering into the heart of an airport, guided only by delusion, remained deeply disturbing. In this video by Los Polonos TV, we see a mother deal with a terrifying situation. Her young one had been talking to an invisible friend for quite a while. This unseen person lived in the youngster's bedroom. The boy spoke to the air as if a real person was standing there. Initially, the mother thought this was just a normal part of being a young one. She became more worried as the conversations continued every day. She decided to film the house to see what our youngster was looking at. I always feel uneasy when I hear stories about children seeing things we cannot see. On this day, the youngster told her that his friend was currently in the house. She began to film as she walked through the rooms. She made a swift turn toward the kitchen to check the area.
Vente, estamos solos. Ay, Dios mío.
In the footage, you can see these specific details. A dark shadow stands in the corner of the room. The figure looks exactly like a small youngster. It stays perfectly still while the mother moves the camera. The shadow appears to be staring directly at her. I feel terrible that this woman had to see such a scary sight in her own home. The mother was so frightened that she could not upload the video for several days. She is now sure that the friend is a ghost living in her hallways. If your youngster starts talking to people you cannot see, you should take it seriously. You should also check the history of your home to see who lived there before. Is it possible for a spirit to follow a young one around the house? What would you do if you caught a shadow on camera in your kitchen? She hopes that this presence does not become more violent over time. In this video by a rescue crew, we see the true scale of a massive wildfire in Izmir, Turkey. The climate in this region is very hot and dry during the summer months. Strong winds push the forest fire into residential areas where people live. The footage from the helicopter shows how the flames consumed the trees and threatened many homes. I feel terrible for the families who had to leave their belongings behind to escape the heat. The screen shows thick orange glows lighting up the hillsides at night. 7 different airplanes drop water on the hottest parts of the fire. while bulldozers and water trucks work on the ground to create a safety line. Smoke fills the streets as the fire reaches the edge of the city. It is amazing that no casualties have been reported despite the size of this blaze. However, things can change with a quick turn of the wind. Firefighters often have to move with a swift motion to avoid being trapped by the flames. You should always have an emergency bag ready if you live in a dry forest area. This video shows just how much damage a single spark can cause in the right conditions. Many young ones were likely terrified as the fire approached their neighborhoods. In this video by Instagram user Scary Encounter, we see a hospital room in Thailand during a very somber moment. The CCTV footage shows a patient lying completely still on a medical bed. Initially, the room appears quiet and normal for a hospital setting. You can see the medical equipment and the silent patient through the lens of the security camera. I always feel a heavy sense of sadness when I see footage from inside a hospital ward. As the video continues, a dark shadow-like form rises directly from the body. This figure moves upward in a way that looks very much like a human shape. In this footage, you can see these specific details. The patient remains motionless while the dark shape lifts into the air. The shadow drifts towards the ceiling before it disappears from the view of the camera. The doctors and the nurses in the area had a very strong physical reaction to the event. Medical staff members were seen gathered together in a group to pray for their safety. The professionals who work in this building are used to dealing with life and death every day. I feel terrible that these trained workers were so terrified that they had to flee the room. They moved with a quick pace to get away from the bed after they witnessed the shadow. Some people believe this is proof that a soul leaves the body after a person has been struck by death. Others think it might just be a small insect or a light reflection on the glass of the camera. If you were a nurse in that room, would you have stayed to help or would you have run away? The medical team was truly shaken by what they saw during their shift. They left the area with a swift motion and refused to return to the bedside alone. You should always trust your instincts if you feel a strange presence in a room. This event reminds us that there are mysteries in our world that science cannot always explain. Many youngsters believe in spirits, but seeing grown adults reacting this way makes the story even more believable. We may never know if this was a ghost or a simple trick of the equipment. This viral video captures a car crash that looks like something out of a movie. The driver is using a modified car with a special steering wheel that has no airbag. You can tell he is going way over the speed limit by how the trees blur past a window. He loses control of the vehicle and hits a solid object with incredible force. This is why I always tell people to slow down in narrow roads. The camera reveals the driver is not wearing a seatbelt as he speeds down the road. The car spins and the steering wheel pops off the column, throwing the man completely out of his seat during the impact. The modified interior of the car is shredded by the force of the crash. The wheel he was using is called a quick release wheel, which is meant for tight race cars. Because he was not strapped in, he was struck by the interior parts of the car before being ejected. He moved with a swift motion through the air as the car came to a stop. You should always wear your seatbelt, even if you are just driving a short distance. It is a miracle he survived such a brutal wreck without being more seriously wounded. Do you think modified cars should be allowed on public roads? Imagine walking into a room filled with thousands of glowing lights and tiny plastic hearts. This is what the Latvian state police discovered during a massive raid they named Operation SIM Cartel. In this video, you can see the mechanical backbone of a global criminal empire. The authorities uncovered an incredible 40,000 SIM cards that were all linked to a €5 million cyber scam spreading across Europe. This platform was built to be a one-stop shop for criminals who wanted to disappear. It provided anonymous phone numbers and untraceable payment methods from more than 80 different countries. It is truly frightening to see how organized these scammers have become. I feel terrible for the thousands of regular people who were likely targeted and robbed by the users of this network. 5 suspects have been taken into custody, but the amount of technology they've found is chilling. It proves there is a hidden world of digital theft happening right under our noses. I always feel nervous about who might be on the other end of a strange call or a text message. The scale of this operation shows that no one is truly safe from these types of high-tech predators. In this video by Dari, we see a disturbing encounter from the city of Montevideo, Uruguay. Dari and her mother heard strange noises outside their house late one night. Initially, they thought a stray animal was moving around in the dark. The sounds continued until they realized the noise came from directly above them on the roof. They checked their security cameras to see what was standing on top of their home.
Supuestamente acá tiene que haber algo. ¿Hay algo? Claro, pero ahí no sale, ¿no?
Tendrías que apuntar desde techo a techo, enfrente de él.
Claro, porque ahí no sale. Literal es como si estuviera ahí.
In the footage, you can see these specific details. A dark, shadowy figure stands perfectly still on the edge of the roof. The entity appears to be looking down at the house. Dari and her mother ran outside to catch the intruder. The roof was completely empty when they arrived just seconds later. You should always keep your doors locked if you hear noises on your property. You should also call for help instead of investigating a dark roof by yourself. What would you do if you saw a person standing over your bedroom on a camera? Many believe that technology can see spirits that our own eyes miss. Dari and her mother could find no physical trace of a person or an animal. This is why I never like staying in a house that has easy access to the roof. Keep watching because this gets even stranger. In these videos by Tristan, we see a man who has lived with a haunting for many years. Tristan has tried prayers and cleansings, but the presence refuses to leave his home. He often records his rooms to prove that he is not just imagining these events. One night, he heard loud banging coming from inside his bathroom. He moved with a quick pace toward the noise and turned on his camera. I find it very brave that he continues to document these attacks instead of running away. In this footage, you can see the following events. The metal doorknob twists back and forth with a quick motion. Tristan shows that the hallway behind him is completely empty. The heavy bathroom door creaks open slowly without anyone pushing it. The room inside is vacant and shows no sign of an intruder. Tristan was also jolted awake on a different night by the sound of objects hitting the floor. He began to record as items started to shift and move across the furniture. He says the air became unnaturally cold as the invisible hands moved his belongings. He felt a chilling sensation that went straight through his body during the event. It's a nightmare to feel unsafe in your own bed. If your home feels cold for no reason, you should check for drafts or hidden entries. Tristan continues to wonder how much longer he can share his life with this entity. Some hauntings stay quiet, but this one seems determined to be noticed. You should always trust your gut if a room feels heavy or wrong. Tristan moved with a swift walk to exit the area after the object stopped moving. We previously saw how Henry was struck by a flying object in his own kitchen. Henry has since sought help from a priest to protect himself from being wounded by these forces. On the night of November 3rd, 2025, just before 9 o'clock, a woman sat inside her black Tahoe near Southwest 127th Avenue in Homestead, unaware that her ordinary evening was about to turn into a nightmare. 3 masked figures suddenly emerged from the darkness. Each of them was armed. They rushed her vehicle, surrounding it in seconds. Realizing what was happening, the woman bolted from the driver's seat and ran toward a nearby business, terrified for her life. Behind her, the suspects climbed into her SUV and sped away, vanishing into the neighborhood. Miami-Dade deputies were alerted immediately. Specialized units began scanning nearby streets, hunting for the stolen vehicle. It didn't take long before the Tahoe was spotted weaving through a quiet residential area near Southeast 25th Avenue and 28th Drive. As patrol cars closed in, the suspects abandoned the SUV and scattered, fleeing on foot through yards and alleyways. What followed was a tense chase through the dark. During the pursuit, one of the suspects, 18-year-old Stephen Jones, turned and raised an assault rifle toward a pursuing deputy. In that instant, the situation escalated from chase into a life-or-death confrontation. A deputy fired and Jones went down.
Can you hear it? Sir, you're not fired. Oh, sir, you shot me. I got one here. You shot me, sir. In the backyard. Don't fucking move. Keep your hands down. You shot me, sir. Where you shot? My arm. Oh, don't fucking move. Don't fucking move. Hey. Sir, you shot me.
When I call for you, when I call for you.
Sir, can you call the ambulance? Call the ambulance. Please, sir. I got one in custody. Start me fire.
Even in the chaos, deputies immediately called for medical assistance. Body cameras captured the rifle lying on the ground beside Jones as officers moved in, secured him, and applied a tourniquet to stop the bleeding. He was transported to the hospital in stable condition. The remaining suspects were quickly located nearby. 18-year-old Taekwon Davis and a 16-year-old accomplice were taken into custody. A handgun was recovered near Davis, and Jones's assault rifle was seized where he fell. What began as a routine evening for one woman had spiraled into armed robbery, pursuit, and gunfire in a matter of minutes. Though no deputies or bystanders were injured, the incident revealed just how thin the line is between normalcy and chaos. One encounter in a parking lot had turned into a running gunfight through a neighborhood, leaving behind a stolen vehicle, discarded weapons, and a chilling reminder of how fast violence can erupt. In this video by X-Man Gage, we see a normal kitchen in the middle of the night. On the night of September 14th, he uploaded footage that immediately unsettled his viewers. He chose to start recording because something compelled him to document the room. Initially, the activity seemed like it might be a simple problem with the electrical wiring. You can see the lights flickering sporadically while Gage watches the fixtures. I feel terrible that he had to deal with this while his family was trying to sleep. In the footage, you can see these specific details. The light fixtures on the ceiling begin to sway back and forth. The movement becomes more violent as the video continues. An explosive crash suddenly tears through the quiet kitchen. Multiple objects topple to the floor all at once with a loud sound. This was not a technical failure or a broken wire. It was a physical event that made the safety of a familiar home feel violated. This is why I never like being alone in a dark kitchen at night. If Gage wants to keep his young ones safe, he should consider a spiritual cleansing of the property. He walked with a quick pace to check the damage after the objects fell. You should always trust your instincts if the atmosphere in your home shifts. Keep watching because this gets even stranger. Another couple felt a similar violation of their safety in a different home. For them, the terror was constant and happened every single night. They heard scratching noises inside the walls and watched their bed sheets shift while they slept.
Estoy escuchando que alguien está intentando abrir la puerta. Escucha.
Nos acaban de levantar, estábamos viendo una serie y pues la neta sí está medio fuerte el pedo, escuchen.
Amor. ¿Viste eso?
No mames. No mames, ¿qué fue? Amor, se acaba de abrir la puerta. Estoy seguro que se giró. ¿Sí? No mames. No mames, amor. Amor, no mames. No mames. No seas... Amor, ¿qué pedo? Está volviendo a pasar. Amor, no mames. Acabamos de grabar la puerta, la acabo de cerrar. Creemos que se va a volver a abrir porque se escuchan ruidos. Literal se acaba de escuchar un ruido. No mames. Amor, no mames. No mames.
It is hard to imagine the fear of being struck by an unseen presence in your own bedroom. Initially, they try to ignore the shadows, but the activity only grew more intense. I find it very disturbing that a spirit would target a family while they are at their most vulnerable. You should check your home for any hidden openings if you hear scratching. Shadows in the corner of a room are often the first sign of a haunting. The couple moved with a swift motion to turn on the lights whenever they felt a presence nearby. How would you react if you woke up to find your blankets being pulled by invisible hands? They eventually realized that no amount of logic could explain the movements in the room. In this video by Rodolfo Osto, we see a paranormal investigator face a nightmare inside his own home. Rodolfo was about to leave for a case when his mother called him in a panic. She was terrified because a wardrobe door in her bedroom was rattling with a quick motion. Even worse, a strange doll had completely vanished from the room. Initially, the family thought there might be a logical reason for the noise. However, this was no ordinary toy.
Ficou desse jeito fazendo esse barulho, Rodolfo.
A porta ficou vibrando?
Ficou vibrando aqui.
Oxi. Porta do guarda-roupa. Você pegou o boneco aqui?
Não peguei nada.
Rodolfo had taken the doll from a home where two young ones were brutally struck by a killer. Locals believe the spirit of a youngster was attached to the object. I feel terrible that his mother had to deal with such a dark presence alone.
Você escondeu, eu acho que você escondeu de mim. Eu tô achando que você escondeu. Às vezes eu tô achando que você pode estar me trollando.
Não, tô trolando nada não.
Reviewing the footage. In the footage, you can see these specific details. Rodolfo searches the property with a swift pace to find the missing doll. He reviews the camera recording in slow motion to look for intruders. A faint shadowy figure appears to be lurking in the corner of the bedroom. The space is empty when Rodolfo turns around to face the corner in person. This is why I never like keeping old or mysterious items in my house.
Ô mãe, eu juro por Deus que eu vi uma menina sentada ali, mãe.
You should always be careful about what objects you bring into your living space. You should also check your security cameras if things start to go missing. Rodolfo now believes the spirit of a murdered youngster is inside his house. He plans to burn the doll so the spirit cannot take hold of his family. It is frightening to think that a toy could carry such a heavy and violent history. Keep watching because this gets even stranger. While Rodolfo looked for answers, a man named Danny found only horror. His trouble began with loud knocks coming from behind the bathroom wall. I find it very disturbing when noises come from inside the structure of a building. Initially, Danny thought it was just a plumbing issue or an animal. He soon realized that the figure in his bathroom was something that should never have been there at all. He moved with a quick walk to investigate the sounds before they turned into full haunting. You should listen closely to any sounds that repeat in your home at night. If you hear knocking, you should try to record the audio to see if it follows a pattern. Danny was almost wounded by the fear of what he might find behind the door. He did not know if a person or a spirit was waiting for him in the dark. It's a terrible feeling to be afraid in the one place where you should be safe. Justin Hooker sits in a cold interrogation room acting like his presence there is just a big mistake. He asks for a drink of water and promises to play nice if the officers take off his handcuffs. He talks with a level of confidence that is honestly disturbing. In his mind, he and his girlfriend, Nadia Schwartz, committed a crime that no one could trace back to them. A body had been found near a bridge by the Nosaga River, but Justin is sure that there is zero evidence connecting them to that spot. What Justin does not realize is that the detectives didn't find him through luck. They built a massive case by quietly checking timelines and comparing every story they heard. While Justin was out living his life like nothing had happened, investigators were gathering details from people who thought they were just venting about family drama. The person found by the river was 27-year-old Kenny Bunn. Local fishermen found him. The medical examiner determined he had been shot with a small weapon. Justin agrees to talk after hearing his rights, but he tries to control the room. He pretends he only knows the basics from the news. He speaks as if Kenny's death is just a sad event happening to someone else, not something he caused. Detectives then bring up an earlier talk they had at Nadia's mother's house. Back then, the couple looked relaxed and comfortable, but as soon as Kenny's name came up, Nadia's mood shifted. She didn't just say she knew him, she launched into a huge explanation about how dangerous he was. Every extra detail she gave was actually a gift to the police. It gave them more facts to verify and test against the real evidence.
It's about Kenny. You know Kenny? How do you know Kenny?
He's my ex, and the relationship wasn't the best. He got me on stuff. He kept yelling at me about stuff.
Nadia claimed she dropped Kenny off at a gas station after a fight, but the surveillance footage showed something different. It showed Kenny getting into her car and leaving with her. That was the last time anyone saw him alive. In the interrogation room, Justin starts to crack when the police ask about the gun. He eventually admits he bought a small .22 revolver for protection. Justin claims he sold the gun to a random person, but his story sounds like a lie. When the detective tells him they already spoke to his family, Justin's confidence disappears. His breathing gets heavy, and he says he can't see straight. He looks like a man who finally understands his perfect plan has failed. While he is panicking, Nadia is in another room telling the truth. She admits Justin was hiding in the back seat with a gun when they picked up Kenny.
I had him in the car with me.
You had?
Kenny in the car with me.
So Kenny was in the car with you?
And Justin was in the back seat.
Justin, did he know Justin was in the back seat?
No.
Both were sentenced to 30 years for murder. I feel so much for Kenny's family having to hear how he was lured to his end. In April 1999, the city of London was moving through its normal weekend routine. Shoppers were out in the markets and friends were meeting for drinks. Most people had no clue that 22-year-old David Copeland was walking through the crowds with a black bag and a plan for murder. He had built several bombs using everyday items and timers. He packed them with heavy nails because he wanted the metal to fly through the air and hurt as many people as possible. On April 17, he went to the busy Brixton Market. It is the kind of place where you can easily get lost in the crowd. Copeland set his bag down inside a supermarket, turned on the timer, and walked away. People actually noticed the bag, but they just moved it aside, thinking someone had forgotten their trash. At 5:25 in the evening, the device exploded. The blast injured dozens of people and sent glass flying everywhere. It is a miracle that no one died in that first attack. 1 week later, on April 24, Copeland struck again in Brick Lane. A man found the bag and suspected it was a bomb, but it exploded before the area could be cleared. 13 more people were injured by the blast and smoke. The police were now working around the clock to find a pattern. They used grainy security footage to track a man carrying a black bag through the transit system. On April 29, they released these images to the public. A coworker eventually recognized Copeland and called the police, but the timing was terrible. Copeland was already at a pub called the Admiral Duncan in Soho. He ordered a drink and even asked a stranger to watch his bag while he stepped out. At 6:30 p.m., the bomb went off in the crowded pub. Because the space was so small, the damage was much worse. 74 people were hurt and 3 people were killed, including a woman who was 4 months pregnant. I feel sick thinking about those people just trying to enjoy a Friday night before their lives were changed forever. Police arrested Copeland at his home that same night. They found evidence that he wanted to cause division and chaos in the city. In June 2000, he was tried and convicted of murder and causing explosions. He received 6 life sentences for his crimes. The threat was over, but the fear he created lasted for a very long time in London. In this video, we see 2 men working inside a quiet warehouse. They are moving heavy sacks by hand, lifting them one by one. One worker bends his back to take the weight of each sack. He then walks a short distance to drop a load onto a nearby conveyor belt. Initially, the stack of bags looks secure and solid, but as the men take more from the bottom, the entire pile begins to wobble. Suddenly, the top of the stack collapses and sends sacks tumbling down toward the workers. I feel terrible for these men because they were just trying to finish their shift. You should always pull items from the top of a pile to keep the base steady. Heavy objects can cause a serious injury if they fall from a great height. This is why I always wear a hard hat when I'm around tall storage shelves. The workers had to move with a quick pace to avoid being struck by the falling bags. Even a young one knows that tall towers are prone to tipping over. You should never stand directly under a high stack of materials. In this final clip, a worker is seen standing directly on a moving conveyor belt. He is treating the industrial equipment like a joke for his friends to watch. Conveyors are designed to move heavy products, not human beings. A sudden mechanical movement could easily pull his foot into the rollers. I never like seeing people play around in areas where others are trying to work safely. In this footage, you can see the belt jerk as the motor struggles with the weight. The man loses his balance and almost falls into the gap between the belts. This type of fooling around puts everyone in the warehouse at risk of an accident. Even a young one should know that moving belts can grab your clothing and pull you in. He was almost wounded because he wanted to make a quick joke. You should never treat your workplace like a playground. Always keep your eyes on the floor and stay away from moving parts. If you see a coworker acting like this, you must report it to a supervisor immediately. He made a swift leap off the belt once he realized how dangerous it actually was. We must all work together to ensure that no one gets struck by machinery during their shift. In this footage, a forklift operator is trying to lift a very large box. For some reason, a second worker is standing right on top of the load. As the workers reach their highest point, the center of gravity shifts completely. The box begins to tilt forward and falls off the machinery. The worker on top is pulled down with the box and hits the concrete floor. I find it very disturbing that anyone would treat heavy machinery like a ladder. You should never stand on a load while it is being lifted by a vehicle. A fall from that height can easily leave a person wounded or worse. If you are a youngster watching this, you must understand that industrial tools are not toys. The man was struck by the ground with a quick force that he never saw coming. The forklift operator should have stopped the machine the moment someone climbed on the box. Safety rules exist for a reason, and ignoring them can cost you your life. Don't you think the worker was pressured to stand there, or was it his own choice? He moved with a swift jerk as the box tipped over the edge. It is lucky that the heavy box did not land directly on top of him. The Stewart Highway stretches across the middle of Australia through huge areas of empty land. It is a place where the night feels like it will never end. Joanne, Lise, and her boyfriend, Peter Falconia, were halfway through a road trip. They were traveling in a Volkswagen van, looking for a classic adventure in the outback. They reached Alice Springs in July 2001 and were heading north when their lives changed in an instant. As they drove through the dark, a man in another vehicle signaled for them to pull over. He told them their van was having engine trouble. Peter got out to check the back of the vehicle with a stranger. Suddenly, Joanne heard a loud bang. Before she could react, the man was at her window with a gun. He tied her up and moved her into his own vehicle. It's terrifying to think how quickly a dream vacation can turn into a struggle for survival. Joanne managed to escape while the man was busy. She ran into the thick bushes and hid in the dark for hours, terrified that he would find her. Eventually, she saw the lights of a massive truck. The driver, Vince Miller, found her standing in the road in total distress. She told him her boyfriend was missing and that an armed man was hunting her. They realized it was too dangerous to stay here, so they drove to a nearby roadhouse to call the police. A massive search began across the Northern Territory. The police set up roadblocks and used planes to scan the desert. They found the couple's van hidden in the scrub, but Peter was nowhere to be found. The case became a global news story. Eventually, DNA evidence led the police to a man named Bradley John Murdoch. He was convicted of Peter's murder, even though Peter's body was never recovered. I can't imagine the strength it took for Joanne to hide in that desert alone. This horrifying footage took place in Brazil and shows a hot air balloon on fire crashing down onto a building. By some miracle, the injuries and damages were only minor. In Cleveland, Ohio, a house at 12205 Imperial Avenue was finally being turned into dust. Neighbors watched as bulldozers tore through the walls. Some of them whispered prayers as the wood and brick collapsed. The city called it a health risk, but the people in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood knew the real truth. You can tear down a house, but you cannot erase the evil that happened inside of it. Between 2007 and 2009, women in this area began to vanish without a trace. Many were struggling with life on the street and looking for a safe place to go. In the middle of it all was Anthony Sowell. To everyone else, he seemed like just another neighbor. He bought beer at the corner store and hosted small parties. This ordinary look is exactly what made him so dangerous to the women he met. He would offer a drink or a warm place to sit down. For many, it sounded like a quick escape from the cold or chaos of the outside world. They walked through his door expecting a friendly hangout, but once that door was locked, the charm disappeared. Sowell would take control and attack them. Some managed to escape and ran back into the street with stories that sounded too scary to be real. One survivor even fell from a window on the upper floor to get away. A passerby found her on the ground and called for help.
She fell out the window upstairs on the second floor.
Okay, are you there
And
with
she
her?
laying on the ground, butt her neck.
Are you with her right now?
I'm right here right now. She's laying on the ground.
But the police often brushed these incidents aside. They assumed the missing women would just show up again later. This delay gave Sowell the space he needed to keep his pattern going. I can't imagine the fear those women felt knowing a predator was living right next door. The neighborhood also dealt with a horrible smell for years. People blamed the local sewers and spent money trying to fix the drains. No one wanted to believe the source of the stench was right inside Sowell's home. Everything changed in October 2009 when police went to arrest him for an attack. Upstairs, they found 2 decomposing bodies. This discovery cracked the case wide open. Investigators searched every floor and even dug up the backyard. They found human remains in crawl spaces and buried in the dirt. In the end, they connected Sowell to the deaths of 11 missing women. He was sentenced to death in 2011. The house is gone now, but the empty lot serves as a grim warning. Imagine you're on your bike in traffic and the pit bull jumps out of a window and attacks you. That's what happened here. I hope the man is okay. Israel Keys was a predator who looked like a normal person. He didn't have a clear pattern or a single place where he searched for victims. He traveled across the entire United States and chose people at random. What makes him truly frightening is how he planned his crimes years in advance. He would hide kill kits in remote woods and wait for the right moment to return. One of his darkest stories began in the quiet town of Essex, Vermont. This is a close-knit place where people usually notice when something is wrong. On June 9, 2011, a shock went through the community. Bill Currier and his wife Lorraine did not show up for their jobs. For this steady and dependable couple, a missed shift was a massive red flag. co-workers called the police when they couldn't reach them. When officers arrived at the Courier home, they knew immediately that something was bad. The garage door was wide open, leaving the house vulnerable. Inside, items were knocked over and there were stains that looked like blood. Most alarming of all, the phone line had been cut so no one could call for help. The couple was gone and so was their car. This wasn't a simple disappearance, it was a calculated abduction. Bill was a hardworking man at the University of Vermont and Lorraine was a warm person who worked in finance. They had built a peaceful life that should have been safe from the world's monsters. I feel so much pain for the families who had to wait months for any kind of answer. The trail went cold until March 2012 when Keyes was arrested in Alaska for a different crime. While in custody, he began to confess to the murders of Bill and Lorraine. He described the attack as fast and overwhelming. He said the couple thought it was just a robbery at first because he never told them his real intent. When asked why he picked them, he simply said they were home. Keyes told the police he took them to an abandoned farmhouse that was later torn down.
Right away, what was going on? Were they cooperative at first, at least? Yeah. Pretty shocked.
Despite many searches, their bodies were never found. This left their loved ones without the closure of bringing them home. It's a chilling reminder that some predators don't need a reason other than opportunity. This is why you don't drive on the side of the road like this. Welcome to the Woods UK is a bushcraft and wild camping channel run by a solo outdoorsman who prefers doing everything the hard way. He lives off the land, processes his own food, and camps deep in the English countryside with minimal gear. In one of his latest videos, he heads into the woods for a solo overnighter with a simple goal: hunt his own dinner and test a new lightweight shelter. What he ends up capturing, however, may be far more unusual than he anticipated.
Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me back in the woods once again. We're going to be staying in a low profile shelter in the middle of the woods for 24 hours, hunting my own dinner hopefully. I am going to have to be a bit careful with these cartridges though today. I've only brought 4 out with me, so my shooting really will depend on whether I go hungry or not tonight. Sometimes it is nice just come out with minimal gear. It makes things a little less stressful, I believe. So that's one in the bag, and to be honest with you, if it is just the one that I get, I'm very grateful, and I'm very grateful to the animal. It's the hard bit over. Process it now, and I shall put it with my noodles. So we're going to have a pigeon chow mein.
The trip begins with only 4 shotgun cartridges. He knows that whatever he eats depends entirely on his aim. Early on, he manages to down a pigeon and immediately begins plucking and cleaning it. Dinner will be basic, meat combined with instant noodles, cooked over an open fire. But the meal isn't what makes this trip memorable. It's something that happened earlier in the day.
So now the water's on the boil, I can have 5 minutes chat. The creature that I caught on my mobile phone whilst out walking with the family, obviously it is an animal of some description. It's big and it is a dark colour. Obviously it was a complete disaster this morning trying to drone footage it. The drone got crashed and lost for a little while. But yeah, I mean, the size of it, the way it moved and that slight, it was very, very jiggly, the footage, because it was so far away. All I had was mobile. I was trying to zoom in and the sunlight was reflecting onto my phone. I couldn't see a lot, so it was up and down. But what I did get, I'm grateful for, because had I not got any sort of footage of it, no one would have ever probably believed that I see it. But the kids made a little bit of noise, and eventually it left. It went through the other side of the field. But that's why I'm camping here tonight. We're a stone's throw from that field. This is a place I camp regular. So yeah, I've strategically already put out a couple of trail cams. So hopefully they may bring something. Obviously trail cams have brought some funny things up in the woodlands that I've caught on many trail camera down in the big forest before. But yeah.
While walking with his family near a field not far from camp, he noticed something moving in the distance. Large, dark, fast. too far away to identify clearly. He managed to capture a brief clip on his phone. The footage is shaky and distorted by glare, but it shows a sizable animal crossing the landscape. According to him, it didn't move like a fox or a dog. It was far bigger, smoother, and more deliberate. When his children made noise, the animal vanished into the tree line. That moment stayed with him. It's why he chose this particular place to camp, only a stone's throw away from where he saw the creature. He set up trail cameras nearby, hoping to capture a clearer image of whatever had passed through.
Just before it does get too dark, I'm going to get myself into position with the night vision goggles in that field where we captured that creature on camera. See what's going on during the night. But I'm going to have to turn this camera off and the light off before I get there, otherwise obviously I'm going to give myself away. I definitely don't think it was a fox, and there's definitely no dogs that should be over in that area poaching or not poaching. It didn't look like a dog to me. There should be no dogs over here whatsoever. For the size and length of that animal, it definitely wasn't a fox, not in my opinion. So I'm just on my way back into camp now. There's nothing about, obviously, as we thought. You don't get lucky twice, do you? So I'm going to go back and enjoy the rest of my campfire and my evening up here. The wind is still pretty high, but yeah, we'll just hope that the rain holds off. We're not due any, but like I say, we're in the UK and you can never guarantee the weather. So see you in a minute back at camp.
As night falls, the wind rises, scattering leaves across the shelter's entrance. With night vision goggles in hand, he heads back into the field after dark to see if the animal returns. He moves slowly, keeping his main camera off so he doesn't give himself away. The terrain is familiar, but visibility is poor. The field remains silent. No glowing eyes, no movement, just wind and darkness. Eventually, he returns to camp, admitting that sightings like this rarely happen twice. There is no definitive proof of what he saw, and he makes no bold claims. Still, the experience clearly left its mark. For those familiar with the UK's long history of reports involving black panthers, pumas, and other large cats roaming rural areas, the footage, however unclear, adds to a growing body of anecdotal evidence. These sightings often come from farmers, hikers, and hunters in remote regions, and they all describe the same thing: a large, dark feline moving silently through the countryside, never leaving more than a fleeting glimpse behind. Whether this was a misidentified animal, an exotic pet gone feral, or something else entirely, we may never know. But what is certain is that something unusual crossed that field, and it left one seasoned outdoorsman unsettled enough to build an entire night around the possibility that it might return. In November 1957, police in Plainfield, Wisconsin were looking for a missing woman named Bernice Worden. This was a small rural town where everyone knew each other's business. When officers went to the remote farm of Ed Gein, they expected a routine search. Gein was known as a quiet loner who did odd jobs and seemed totally harmless. The search happened on a dark winter night. Since the property had no electricity, the officers had to use flashlights. They entered a small outbuilding and saw something hanging from the rafters. At first they thought it was an animal carcass from the hunting season. Then the light hit it, and they realized they were looking at the remains of Bernice Worden. The discovery was so horrific that even veteran officers had to stumble outside. As word spread, the town could not believe that the polite man they knew was a monster. Inside Gein's house, investigators found a nightmare world. Some rooms were frozen in time, exactly how his mother had left them decades ago. Other areas were filled with piles of junk and trash. Among the clutter, they found items made from human remains. Gein had been collecting bodies from local graveyards for years. I can't imagine living near a farm for so long and never knowing what was happening just a few miles away. Gein grew up with a very controlling mother who told him the outside world was evil. This isolation left him socially stunted and dependent on his mother's ghost. Gein was arrested at a neighbor's house on the first day of deer hunting season. He eventually confessed to killing Bernice Worden and another woman named Mary Hogan. The story of Samuel Little is also part of this trail of death. Little was tied to dozens of killings that stayed disconnected for 35 years. He moved constantly between cities and states to avoid being caught. When investigators finally sat down with him in 2018, he was in poor health but had a perfect memory. He claimed he was responsible for 93 murders between 1970 and 2005. He spoke with a calm, clinical voice that made the stories even more unsettling.
Whatsoever. It was a matter of fact. I got him to kill. He went into great detail in his crime.
He targeted women on the margins of society because he knew the police might not search for them as hard. This is why I always worry about people who have no one to look out for them. On the evening of December 16, 2025, just before 8 o'clock, detectives in Baltimore's Eastern District were scanning live surveillance feeds when something caught their attention. On the corner of North Charles Street and East 21st, a vehicle appeared to be involved in suspected narcotics activity. What looked like a routine observation quickly became something far more dangerous. Members of the district action team were sent in to investigate. When officers attempted to stop the vehicle, it bolted. Sirens cut through the night as the car tore through city streets, refusing to slow. A request was made for the department's helicopter, but it wasn't available. The chase continued on the ground alone. The fleeing car turned into the 500 block of West Landvale Street and rushed into a narrow dead-end alley. With no air left to run, 3 officers exited their cruiser and advanced on foot, weapons drawn, shouting commands for the occupants to show their hands. Instead of surrendering, the vehicle suddenly lurched backward. One officer had to dive out of the way as a car slammed into a fence. Then without warning, it surged forward again toward him. In that instant, the threat became unmistakable. All 3 officers opened fire.
So it's not traveling on the highway? No. 1047. There's gonna be a bailout. Across street from Orlando. Hold here. Get up! Hands! Show me your hands! Give me your hands! Give me your hands! Give me your hands! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
I'm shot, yo! I'm shot! It made me drive!
Turn over!
It made me drive!
Turn over!
I'm shot, man!
Show me your hands! Hands! Show me your hands! Hands! Show me your hands! Gunny, watch out! Hands! Gunny, get up! Get up! Show me your hands! Stop the car! Shots fired! Shots fired! Get on the ground!
Let me show me it out. I'm shot, yo! It made me drive!
The passenger, 61-year-old Andrew Brown, was thrown from the vehicle as it drifted in reverse. The driver, 37-year-old Devin Thomas, exited and dropped to the ground. Both men were quickly taken into custody. Officers rushed to Thomas, who had been struck by gunfire, and began rendering aid until medics arrived.
Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Hold the air, he's crashing. How much your hands? Show me your hands! How much your hands? Gotta get up, get out of the way! Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Shots fired! Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Give me your hands! Shots fired. Give me your hands! Give me your hands! Get your hands up! Show your hands!
Thomas was transported to a hospital and later released. He was subsequently arrested and charged with assault and use of a dangerous weapon with the intent to injure. A search of the vehicle revealed 2 firearms and narcotics inside. What began as a silent watch through a camera lens ended in gunfire inside a dark alley. A split-second decision turned a routine investigation into a near-fatal confrontation, exposing how quickly a fleeing vehicle can become a weapon and how fast a quiet city block can turn into a crime scene.
You made me drive.
Where you shot at? Where you shot at?
10-2-3, 1400 division. Stuff like that, I don't know. I don't know how many times I've been shot. He shot me. He made me drive, man. What I'm supposed to do?
You supposed to stop.
I couldn't eat. You gotta do.
You tried to run him over, bro. You saw what was going on. Stop it. Just don't move. Where you hit at?
Oh my God, I wasn't trying to run him over. He made me drive.
Shortly before midnight on July 22, 1991, 2 police officers in Milwaukee were flagged down by a man in the street. He was barely dressed and had a pair of handcuffs dangling from one wrist. He wasn't asking for directions, he was begging for help. The man's name was Tracy Edwards, and he told the officers he had just escaped a nightmare in an apartment on North 25th Street. The officers followed him back to the building expecting a simple late-night dispute. The hallway and the door looked completely normal. Even the apartment seemed ordinary when they first walked in. But as they moved deeper into the kitchen and living room, the mood shifted. One officer later admitted he screamed when he saw what was really inside. This moment marked the end of Jeffrey Dahmer's horrifying 13-year spree. By the time he was arrested, Dahmer was 31 years old and had killed 17 young men and youngsters. What shocked people most was how well he blended into the background. He held a steady job and lived a quiet life. No one noticed the monster living right next to them. Dahmer grew up in a home filled with arguments and emotional distance. As a teenager, he spent hours alone in the woods and developed a strange curiosity about death. He also began drinking heavily while he was still in school. These were clear warning signs that everyone missed. After his parents divorced in 1978, he was left alone in the family home and committed his first murder.
So if your response was, oh, my family has been great, they're so supportive, I'm very close to my parents, that person wasn't going to be a victim. But if the person answered, my parents aren't speaking to me anymore, I'm estranged from my family, I'm kind of on my own now, that was the perfect victim for Jeffrey Dahmer.
One of the most tragic parts of this case happened in May 1991. A youngster named Conarak Sinthasamphone managed to escape the apartment. He was found in the street, bleeding and confused. Neighbors called the police, but Dahmer approached the officers calmly. He told them the youngster was his adult partner who had just had too much to drink. The officers believed Dahmer's lies and actually helped him carry the youngster back into the apartment. That decision was a devastating failure that cost a life. I feel sick knowing that help was right there and then it just walked away.
To the officers, good evening officers, he's very polite, he's sober, and he said, this is my boyfriend, he came to stay with me. We had a little bit too much to drink and he ran out of the house.
Dahmer's control finally collapsed when Tracy Edwards escaped a few months later.
Fantastical that you think people are making it up when they're telling you the details. But as it turned out, they weren't making it up. It was all of the atrocities that we heard about that had happened in that apartment.
Dahmer was sentenced to life in prison but was killed by another inmate in 1994. The building is gone now, but the memories still haunt the city. This video takes us to Korathalam, India, where a reckless driver tried to overtake another vehicle at high speed. The maneuver went wrong and threw a scooter rider directly into the path of an oncoming car. The driver of the car had less than a second to react. They chose to swerve off the road and crash their own vehicle into the dirt to avoid hitting the person. That fast instinct prevented a certain fatality on the pavement. The rider only suffered a fractured finger, while the driver walked away uninjured. It's incredible to see someone value another person's life more than their own car. Have you ever had to make a choice like that while driving? On April 24, 1967, a mission that was meant to show the world Soviet power ended in a field of silence. The Soyuz 1 spacecraft was finally heading home after a series of difficult orbital tests. The heat shield had held up during the fire of re-entry. The retro rockets had fired exactly as they should. The capsule was dropping through the thick air of the atmosphere toward its landing site. Recovery teams were on the ground, scanning the sky for the bright canopy of a parachute, but they saw nothing. Inside that small metal craft was Colonel Vladimir Komarov. He was a veteran cosmonaut and the very first Russian to go into space twice. He was a hero of the state, but in these final moments, he was completely alone. The flight plan had called for complex maneuvers and testing of this brand new ship. According to official reports, those goals were met. The systems had been exercised. The descent was clean. Then at about 7 kilometers up, the sequence reached its final act. The braking chutes deployed just as engineers designed. Then the main canopy had to fill with air to carry the ship to safety. For a few long seconds, Komarov's life rested on fabric and lines. Then something went horribly wrong. Reports suggest the straps twisted and the main parachute failed to blossom. The capsule began to plummet from 4.5 miles up. It hit the ground in about 3 minutes. I feel terrible that a man who gave so much to science had to face such a terrifying end. The impact was catastrophic and killed Komarov instantly. For years, the Soviets had bragged about how safe their program was compared to the Americans. They once said the United States pushed too close to the edge. But just like the Apollo fire earlier that year, this tragedy happened during a routine part of the mission. Parachute failures are rare, but when nylon and cords fail, there is no backup for physics. Engineers eventually had to pull the chute from the twisted wreckage. The Soyuz craft was heavier than previous ships, meaning it had more mass for the fabric to carry. Perhaps the safety margins were just too thin. Moscow promised to fix the ship and fly again, calling it a technical delay rather than a dead end. But behind the cold science sits a family in mourning. Komarov left behind a wife and 2 youngsters who only learned he was in space after he was already in orbit. It was just past 5 p.m. on November 4th, 2025 in Louisville, Kentucky. The sky looked normal, but things were about to take a dark turn. Thousands of people at the UPS Worldport hub were busy getting planes ready for the night. One of those planes was UPS Flight 2976. This MD-11 fighter was scheduled for a routine trip to Dallas-Fort Worth. On board were 3 very experienced crew members. These veterans knew the heavy cargo and the precision needed for the flight. The plane moved slowly across the ground as the engines hummed. Controllers gave the all-clear for takeoff on runway 17R. At first, the climb was smooth. Then a massive mechanical roar broke the silence. In this video, you can see the moment the disaster begins.
Ебать, все загорело.
¡Oh my God!
Ay,
¡Corre
pinga.
para atrás, papi! ¿Viste? Te lo estoy diciendo, Dios mío.
Security cameras from the area captured the plane pitching hard to the left. A strange glow appeared under the wing. Suddenly, a large piece of the jet broke away. The left engine had completely detached from the wing. The plane was only a few hundred feet up and moving at 150 knots. There was no time to fix the problem. The massive shadow of the jet banged low over buildings near the airport. Then came a blinding flash and a wall of fire. I feel terrible for the families of the 3 crew members who died. Several people on the ground lost their lives too. Warehouses and cars were swallowed by flames. Investigators found that a metal part called an engine pylon failed. This caused the engine to fall off mid-flight. UPS had to ground their entire MD-11 fleet after this. It's a scary reminder that even with modern technology, a few seconds can change everything. In this segment, we see a maintenance crew working on a large piece of machinery. They failed to use proper energy lockout procedures before starting their repairs. Initially, the machine stayed still, but it suddenly roared to life without warning. This unexpected movement put every person in the area at high risk for a major injury. I feel terrible for anyone who has to work in an environment where safety is ignored. You should always follow lockout, tagout steps before you put your hands inside a machine. This means you must secure every source of electricity and pressure. A machine does not care if you are in the way when it starts its cycle. A youngster might think the gears look interesting, but an adult knows they can be deadly. One worker was almost struck by a moving arm during this specific incident. You must always treat work zones with complete focus and respect. If you see a machine that is not locked, do not go near it. The workers had to move with a swift jump to get away from the rotating parts. No job is worth being wounded by a piece of steel. They moved with a quick walk to the power switch to shut everything down again. Thanks for watching. Stay vigilant, friends.